right, Mr. Kauffman, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about the new film. I have to say, I was so elated when I finished it that I went back immediately and started again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my question is, as a director, I was wondering how much of the little clues, because there's not one perspective that is correct, but it seems like the film has little red herrings and little clues that are peppered throughout. I wonder if you stack those in the adaptation of the novel, or was it that more fun as a director to sort of plant them in the frame and play with us as audience?
I think that they're in the script, most of them, but there were some that we added, with the prop people as we were as we were gathering props for that room. We added more of them than had been mentioned in the script, but a lot of them were mentioned in the script.
Okay, so let me ask you this. The other thing that is interesting, it's sort of the play on perspective and memory. And I was wondering, there are certain times where you as a director, is very obvious where you're like pushing us ahead with the camera move before the characters catch on, and then there's different ways. So if you could talk about sort of the challenges of keeping that up throughout the different sections of the film, because it's something that's very interesting and amazing about the film.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to do less of that than we wanted to, because we were always in process of kind of trying to finish our days. And some of those shots were fairly complicated and we needed to get all the coverage we needed. But that was the goal that Łukasz Zal, who was the DP, and I had, was to sort of create this reality that feels like things are being anticipated, because the person who's thinking is thinking ahead. So that, that was the illusion we were trying to sort of like create, and we were very pleased with that notion and the way it turned out in the places that we're able to do it.
No, most definitely. So let me ask you this. I mean, the set pieces in the car are amazing, and there's a sort of the stream of consciousness of where the conversation goes and where you interrupt as a director. But how do you go from that to actually getting on a set and looking at your sides? And it's like, well, today I'm in the car again. So if you talk about sort of the challenge of sort of keeping that within those long set pieces during the car with the two actors.
Well, I mean, the challenge for Jesse and Jesse was far greater than it was for me, because they were locked in that car all day for 4 or 5 days. And we did those scenes over and over again, and they're, like 11 pages of dialogue. So it's like doing a play. I mean, I don't think that for me, getting in the headspace for those scenes is any different than getting in the headspace for anything. For any scene, you're just like trying to understand what's happening there. It's always an issue when you get to a point and an actor doesn't understand something and you need to figure out how to explain it to them, or you don't understand how to explain it to them. And, those are issues that you have as a director, and you try to rise to the occasion. But the actors are so good in this movie that there was very little of me having to help them. They're just perfect.
I'm going to try to communicate this without spoiling anything, because I feel that I don't want to spoil the experience of watching the movie for the first time. But there is a moment where Jake sort of says a blanket state about musicals, and then he sort of goes on to list every single musical that has ever been important to him, which I truly identify with. I wonder, given what you do in a certain point in the movie, did you have a very specific list of musicals that you wanted to allude to, or did you want to sort of make it its own thing within that particular sequence?
No, I mean, there weren't any. They were just musicals. I mean, they were musicals that I was just thinking of musicals that he could list off. And I thought the concept itself was funny for him to just go off on this sort of endless list. So they were musicals that I knew, I guess, basically is what they were, as simple as that.
Now, I was meaning when you do get to shoot sort of the musical sequence, I wonder if you had any specific influences in that particular part of the movie.
Oh, you mean Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Oklahoma was thematically. It's a musical I know pretty well because I did it as a kid, And I thought it had a lot of thematic parallels to Jake's story. And so there was a lot for me to use there. And I love the idea of the dream ballet and how weird that is and how dreamy it is. And so that was something from the beginning, we didn't know for a while whether or not the estate of Rodgers and Hammerstein was going to let us use it, but they did. And I was really relieved.
All right, sir. So a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
The movie's amazing. So it's been a real pleasure talking to you. You guys have a good day.